To represent the President of the Republic, I am happy to now give to you the Chief of Staff of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in the person of the Honorable Julius Debrah. Please put your hands together for the Chief of Staff of His Excellency President Mahama to bring us an executive message. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the Vice President of Gabon, Your Excellencies, our parliamentary leadership, members of parliament, honorable ministers of state, distinguished guests, captains of industry, investors, development partners, innovators, entrepreneurs, and the vibrant community of women and youth here present. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you special greetings from our president, who would have loved to be here, but for other reasons, he's out of the jurisdiction. Let me start with true real stories. The first one has to do with a former parliamentarian, a legislator of our country by name Honorable Ras Mubarak, and a group of young men decided to tour Africa to draw attention to the need for us to have a visa-less continent. They succeeded in visiting only 31 countries because they needed to apply 12 separate visas. In one particular country, it took them 3 months before the response to their visa was replied. And so I think using today, we need to drum home the importance of making free movement on the continent so as to encourage the wider market we are looking for. The second related issue is that when we took office in January 2025, a lot of people came to see the president and said, Mr. President, this Africa Prosperity Network series, why do you want to get involved? Simply wash your hands off, because it was started during the era of your predecessor. And I remember very well what President Mahama said. He said, and I quote him, Julius, Africa's prosperity begins when successive leaders acknowledge the good things being done by their predecessors and continue. So I bring you warm greetings from the President of our Republic, and I extend his appreciation to the Africa Prosperity Network for convening the Africa Prosperity Dialogues once again here in Ghana. It is a privilege to join you at this consequential gathering held at the moment when Africa's promise is clearer than ever and our choices are more urgent than ever. This year's theme is direct, practical and visionary, empowering SMEs, women and youth in Africa's single market, innovate, collaborate and trade. It is also a reminder that the true success of Africa's continental market will not be measured by declarations and treaties only, but by whether it's tangible to improve the lives and prospects of those who form the backbone of our economies, the small and medium enterprises, our women and the young folks. Let us speak plainly. Africa has largely put in place the architecture of integration. What remains is the harder work of translating ambition into daily economic reality. Across our continent, SMEs account for the overwhelming majority of businesses and jobs, yet only small fraction participate in cross-border trade. Women entrepreneurs continue to face structural barriers to finance, markets, and technology. Our youth, innovative, ambitious, and digitally fluent, are creating solutions for Africa, but too often without the scale, capital, or market access required to enable them to thrive. If Africa's single market is to fulfill its promise, it must be inclusive by design and relentless in execution. That is why the African Prosperity Dialogue matter. This platform has evolved beyond a conference. It has become a convening space where policy meets capital, enterprises meet opportunity, and ideas are tested against implementation. It is a space where Africa's future is discussed, not in abstract, but in terms of deals, reforms, partnership, and measurable outcomes. From the perspective of the government of Ghana, our commitment to Africa's economic integration is unwavering. Ghana is proud to host the Secretariat of AFTA, and we remain determined to champion the practical reforms that make trade possible in the real world. Simplifying custom procedure, reducing non-tariff barriers, improving logistics, strengthening value chains, and investing in industrial and digital infrastructure. Here I wish to echo the words of President John Dramani Mahama, who has reminded African leaders that the African Continental Free Trade Area will not succeed on declarations alone. It must be supported by deliberate investment in infrastructure, efficient institutions, and productive capacity. His message is clear. Integration must be engineered, financed, and implemented, or it will remain an aspiration rather than a driver of prosperity. Yet, even as we pursue the practical, we must keep faith with the history. Kwame Nkrumah, our first president, warned decades. This was not rhetoric for his own sake. It was a strategic warning about scale, competitiveness, and relevance in the global economic market. Today, that call to unite must be expressed in the language of markets, jobs, and opportunities, especially for women, youth, and SMEs. Unity must mean the ability of African enterprises to trade across borders with ease, to scale beyond national markets, and to compete confidently within a single continental economy. So what must we do? First, we must align finance with enterprise. Africa needs patience, development-oriented capital that understands the realities of SMEs, support innovation, and reward growth. Capital must meet credible businesses, and credible businesses must be equipped to absorb investment and scale regionally. Second, we must build trade capability at scale. Export readiness, standards of compliance, digital trade literacy, and logistics efficiency are no longer optional. They are a must. They are prerequisites for competitiveness in a continental market. Third, we must make integration visible and tangible. When women lead enterprises and youth-led startups successfully trade across borders, they create confidence and momentum. They turn continental policy into lived experience. This brings me to the launch of the Africa Market Borderless Now. Make Africa Borderless Now campaign. This is more than a call for easier movement. It is a demand for economic transformation. Africa cannot trade at a scale if its people, goods, services, and ideas remain constrained by outdated systems and unnecessary barriers. A borderless Africa is not about erasing sovereignty. It is about unlocking opportunities. As the Chief of Staff to the President, I am actually aware that implementation is where vision succeeds or fails. Policies matter only when institutions deliver. Our collective task, therefore, is to turn commitment into action at the borders, at the ports, standard authorities, payment systems, and across the full value chain of trade. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa's time is not a slogan. It is a responsibility. If we empower women and youth with real access to finance, skills, markets, and mobility, we will grow dignity alongside growth. If we scale SMEs into continental champions, we will create jobs, resiliency, and shared prosperity. If we make Africa borderless, we will unlock the full potential of over 1.5 billion citizens on a single market. Let us therefore leave this dialogue with one shared resolve: to innovate with purpose, collaborate with seriousness, and trade with confidence. until Africa's single market becomes a lived reality for all of us all. I thank you very much for your attention.